Rosie O'Donnell's gone. She's probably eating a leprechaun.
The drama surrounding Rosie O'Donnell has reached a boiling point, and this time, it's not some late-night Twitter rant or vague podcast dig. It's full-on, prime-time obliteration, live, unscripted, and ruthless. And the ones delivering the blows? None other than Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly. When these two team up, it's not just criticism, it's a dissection. And Rosie, she just became the main course. It all started with a joke. A sharp, seemingly innocent one-liner that turned into a full-fledged takedown. Gutfeld opened with, "Look up in the sky, it's an asteroid." Is that a whale? No, it's Rosie O'Donnell. The audience roared, but what followed wasn't comedy. It was the beginning of the end for Rosie's latest attempt to stay relevant. For years, Rosie O'Donnell has been a staple of American pop culture. Not because of her charm or her comedy, but because of her chaos. She's not a has-been in the traditional sense. She's more like a storm that keeps circling, never quite dissipating, but no longer strong enough to be feared. Every time she re-enters the public eye, it's not with grace or reinvention, it's with noise. Unfiltered, unhinged, and unbearably loud. And this time, the noise came wrapped in another political declaration. Rosie, from her self-imposed exile in Ireland, declared once again that she has no regrets about leaving America after Trump's election. She spoke of Ireland like it was some promised land, a sanctuary for herself and her non-binary child, claiming that she fled after reading Project 2025. "Not a day has gone by where I thought it was the wrong decision," she said, with all the self-righteousness of someone who believed their tantrum was actually a protest. But Megyn Kelly and Gutfeld weren't buying it. They'd heard this story before, like the rest of us, and they'd had enough. Gutfeld, never one to pull punches, smirked as he reminded viewers that Rosie had done what so many celebrities only threatened to do. "She's our hero of the day," he said sarcastically, "for actually leaving." It wasn't just the act of leaving that rubbed people the wrong way. It was Rosie's attempt to turn her own self-imposed exile into a political martyrdom. According to Rosie, her move was a brave stand against tyranny. According to everyone else, it was just another celebrity tantrum disguised as activism. Then came the scene. The now infamous bed scene from the Sex and the City reboot, where Rosie plays a nun in a romantic moment with Cynthia Nixon's character. The clip aired, awkward and painful. And the reaction? Disgust, confusion, laughter, but not the kind Rosie wanted. "I just threw up in my mouth," Emily Compagno whispered, barely able to hide her repulsion. The attempt at diversity, representation, or whatever Hollywood buzzword had inspired this casting, had backfired. Miserably. This wasn't just a bad acting moment. It was a microcosm of Rosie's entire public persona. She spent the last decade trying to remain relevant not through talent, not through art, but through noise. Her political rants. Her endless Trump feud. Her chaotic live streams. She's like that one dinner guest who always shows up uninvited, complains about the food, and still demands to take home the leftovers. Megyn Kelly, surgical as ever, laid it out plainly. Rosie isn't a comedian. She isn't a political commentator. She isn't even a functioning adult, in the public sense. She's a walking cautionary tale. What happens when unchecked ego collides with dwindling fame and a desperate need to be heard? Gutfeld added fuel to the fire. His voice dripped with amusement as he described Rosie's online persona, the human embodiment of a microwave beeping too loud. "Every time you're about to relax," he said, "there she is, screaming into the void, trying to remind the world she still exists." It would be hilarious if it weren't so exhausting. Rosie's greatest hits aren't hits at all, they're reruns. Screaming at Trump. Blaming everyone but herself for her stalled career. Pretending every bad review is part of a conspiracy. Her signature move is victimhood, polished and repackaged every few months for a new audience that never really asked for it. And then came the infamous cold sore video. Rosie, staring into her phone's camera, rambling about how she doesn't have herpes, just a sun reaction. It wasn't funny. It wasn't informative. It was unsettling. It was one of those internet moments where you wonder, did no one stop her from posting this? But Rosie doesn't stop. Rosie never stops. Megyn Kelly took one look at that video and said what everyone was thinking, "Rosie, please. For the love of dignity. Just sit down." This wasn't activism. This wasn't truth-telling. This was a meltdown. A public one. And Rosie was live-streaming it. Her career used to be something. Broadway, sitcoms, daytime television. But somewhere along the way, Rosie stopped performing and started screaming. And when the roles dried up, she blamed Hollywood. When the audiences stopped laughing, she blamed the patriarchy. When the fans stopped following, she blamed the right-wing media. Never once did Rosie O'Donnell look in the mirror and say, "Maybe the problem is me." Gutfeld was merciless. He compared her logic to a malfunctioning Roomba, bumping into reality, spinning in circles, making noise, but going absolutely nowhere. Her social media posts, he said, were like fortune cookies in a dive bar. Greasy, confusing, and disappointing. Her live streams? Like watching someone yell at a cloud and then blame the rain for not being supportive. And when Rosie tries to be funny, it's almost tragic. Her comedy has lost its edge. The punchlines are gone. What's left is anger, confusion, and desperation. Her Instagram stories are less stand-up and more open-heart surgery on her self-esteem, performed with a butter knife. At one point, Rosie compared her political frustration to having herpes. And while that comparison might be meant as a joke, it landed like a confession. Even when trying to be funny, Rosie's instinct is to overshare, to dramatize, to make everything about her pain, her struggle, her journey. Megyn Kelly, unimpressed, listed Rosie's recent projects. Spoiler alert, there weren't any. Just live streams, bad takes, and a handful of half-baked political panels where Rosie attempted to draw parallels between climate change and her broken air conditioner. Greta Thunberg probably wept in Swedish. And yet, Rosie continues. She wakes up every morning, spins the wheel of outrage, and picks a target. Billionaires, Republicans, middle-class people, gluten, the weather. It doesn't matter. She's mad at everything. She's furious that the world kept turning while she stood still. She's angry that her fame faded before she was ready to let it go. Greg Gutfeld made the ultimate observation. Rosie isn't misunderstood. She's overexposed. Everyone knows exactly who she is. The problem isn't that people don't get Rosie O'Donnell. The problem is, we do. Far too well. And we're tired. Her feud with Trump, once seen as brave, is now a punchline. She made it her entire personality, her reason for being. But Trump moved on. The world moved on. Rosie didn't. She built a mansion out of that feud and refused to leave, even as it crumbled around her. She once said Trump gave her cold sores. Not metaphorically. Literally. That's where she's at. That's the level of discourse we're dealing with. Gutfeld joked that Rosie River dancing in a thong is the perfect metaphor for the Democratic Party's current brand. Confusing, painful to watch, and not remotely inspiring. Kelly said Rosie's idea of debate is shouting louder than everyone else in the room. It's not political discussion. It's WWE without the athleticism. And when Rosie sings, as she did, awkwardly off-key, in another clip from the Sex and the City reboot, let us know what you think in the comments. And if you enjoy deep dives into celebrity chaos, media meltdowns, and public figures unraveling in real time, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. The circus never ends, and we'll be here with front row seats.